Hello friends, this is the Urdu Free Thinker. Most people are aware that in Islam, men are allowed to have 4 wives as long as the wives are treated equally by the husband. However, it is less known by many Muslims and non-Muslims alike that Islam allows men to have intercourse with women who are their possession in the form of servants or slaves. Let's have a look at what the Quran says. Chapter 23 of the Quran, Surah Al-Mu'minun, provides a description of what makes a good mu'min or a believer. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. The believers must win through. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who humble themselves in prayers. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Who avoid vain talk. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. Who are active in deeds of charity. So far, there's nothing overtly problematic here, but then the Quran says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ. Who abstain from sex, except with those joined to them in marriage, or whom their right hands possess, for in their case they're free from blame. According to this verse, only sex with spouses, azwaj, and another class of women called malakat aymanuhum, literally, possession of their right hands, is allowed. These two categories are separated by the Arabic word aw, which means or, clearly implying a distinction between the two. Many modern and unsuspecting readers often imagine that both azwaj and malakat aymanuhum mean the same thing, as in both are implying wives or spouses, but this is not true. For example, there is no relative pronoun like allati connecting these two terms. A relative pronoun introduces a relative clause, the part of a sentence that describes the noun or pronoun that comes before it. The relative pronoun allati is used for female plural, which would translate as who. Such an addition would have made this verse their spouses who are their right-hand possessions, which would have made it a lot clearer if such was the intention, but here it is clearly not that. And obviously, there are numerous other ways the two terms could have been connected if desired, but that is not what happened here. Here the two terms azwaj and malakat aymanuhum are separated, signifying their distinct nature. This distinction between the two terms is supported by various tafsirs of this verse. According to Ibn Kathir, this term, right-hand possession, means captives as in slaves captured from war. According to Al-Jalalain, this term means concubines, which is distinct from wives. According to Ibn Abbas, slaves that their right hands possess, without any limit in number. Here he distinguishes this from the limit of 4 wives, emphasizing that these are separate from wives. And according to Maududi, he writes, this verse clearly lays down the law that one is allowed to have sexual relations with his slave girl as with his wife, the basis being possession and not marriage. So it is clear that the traditional Islamic scholarship believed that believing men are allowed to have sex with 4 wives and innumerable concubines. But what if the woman was already married to someone else when she was captured or enslaved? Is it permissible for a Muslim man to sleep with a married woman? There are 2 verses in the Quran that list out what type of sexual relations are forbidden. The first verse lists out the common taboos. Prohibited for you for sexual relations are your mothers, daughters, sisters, paternal aunts, etc. The following verse also prohibits sexual relations with women who are already married, except those who are your right-hand possessions, malakat aymanukum. So according to this verse, it is legal to have sexual relations with someone who's already married if they have been captured in war and are in your possession. Let us look at what the tafsir have to say about this verse. According to Al-Jalalain, it is permissible to have sexual intercourse with married captured women even if they have spouses alive in the enemy camp. And Ibn Kathir mentions a tradition where Prophet's companions had sexual relations with captured women in war. Now let us look at some hadith. According to Sahih Bukhari, a companion of the Prophet tells a story. We went out with Allah's Messenger for war of Banu al-Mustalik, and we received captives from the Arab captives, and we desired the women, and celibacy became hard on us, and we wanted to do coitus interruptus, pulling out before ejaculation. So when we intended to do coitus interruptus, we said, how can we do coitus interruptus before asking Allah's Messenger who's present amongst us? We asked him about it, and he said, it is better for you not to do so, for if any soul is predestined to exist, it will exist. Thus implying that you don't need to pull out while having sex with your slave girl. You can just ejaculate inside her and hope for the best. You can believe in Islam. That is your choice, and I respect that. But know that the Quran allows sexual relations with captive women and slaves. It shouldn't shock anyone that many Muslim extremists justify this practice today with the help of the Quran, Tafsir, and the Hadith. For example, the disturbing stories and images of ISIS fighters taking Yazidi women as sex slaves. These practices are Islamic. They're halal. So should we let Islamic teachings define for us what is right and what is wrong? There is no doubt that these practices create more suffering, misery, and trauma for other human beings. They are not ethical. They're not good. Such teachings need to be rejected. Islamic or not makes no difference.